And Mike Bernard in with us from OTM Sports on GameDaySportsRadio.com. Mike, how's it going this Monday morning? Got your NFL Sunday out of the way. Just one more of those games tonight.
Yeah, yeah, good. First weekend is gone, and then tonight, unusual game where there's played on a neutral site.
Yeah, with the fires going on out in LA, smart move by moving that game down to Phoenix. Cardinals really bent over backwards to help those two teams out. And again, we all love our sports, but they need resources in LA for a lot of other things right now instead of making sure a football event goes well.
Agreed. And then on the football note, the Rams never really had a home field advantage. So I don't agree with the line move actually because they didn't have a home field advantage in LA. Now they're going to a neutral site, so it should be the same.
Right. Well, Mike, we're going to obviously throughout the week, we'll be talking about next Monday night's matchup between Ohio State and Notre Dame for the national championship coming out of Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Right after the two teams were set, Ohio State, they opened as a big favorite. And so far, the line hasn't moved that much.
Coach, Circa opened it at 10.5. Right now it ranges from 8 to 9. Total is 45 to 46. Not surprising that the money's coming in on the Irish.
Yeah. Well, listen, Ohio State, about as low as they could be back in late November after losing to Michigan. Buckeye fans, they were ready to ship Ryan Day out of town. And now they're one win away from the national championship after defeating Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas. Maybe if Ryan can pull this one off, maybe they will forgive him for that Michigan loss, but probably not.
Well, no, but we talked about that Michigan loss was a positive, and at the time it was a counterintuitive take. But look, after losing to their rival, they were not relegated to a meaningless bowl. They were given a repechage round to play for the title, and it's now they're there.
And speaking of positives coming out of a loss, week 2, Notre Dame's an almost 30-point favorite against Northern Illinois. And after that loss, that shocking loss, nobody, and maybe not even everyone in that Notre Dame locker room, had the faith that they could get this far. But they ran the table convincingly and secured the number 7 seed in the playoffs. And they hosted this year's Cinderella story, Indiana, in the first round, manhandled them, upset Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and then bested Penn State 27-24 in Miami.
Right, Coach. But remember, Notre Dame did not upset Georgia. They were actually favored in that game. And I only bring that up because when Notre Dame played in the Final Four in years past, they were getting 20 points, double digits every time against Alabama twice and Clemson. That shows to me, it's kind of confirmation that this is the best Irish team since 1988, that championship team. And I do want to, I think we need to mention that all the talk about the emphasis on conference champions, not one made it to the Final Four.
Right. This is a year of first. Of course, the 12-team playoff. And, and as I've told you before, many times over the years, I'm a big advocate for either an 8-team or a 16-team playoff. I don't like this bye in the playoffs. I know it's an NFL model. I just don't like it. I like 8 or I like 16. And it looks like that the 8 teams may be the right way to go, because if you look at our Final Four, it was the seeds 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Right. Yeah. Just to, that discussion of, hey, because the home field advantage, especially in December, is massive. Mm-hmm. All right. And then, but the conference champions, I think this year it shows the parity. I know that's a cliche, but there is parity this year. You didn't have. Now you have Ohio State, that's the most talented. You have a generational Notre Dame team, but let's not talk about going backwards, Coach. Let's not talk about going back to 8. We either go to 16 or stay at 12.
Okay, we'll go for that. Notre Dame in their storied history, it's hard to believe that there's still some first milestones for the Irish, but Marcus Freeman, he will be the first African American coach to coach in a major championship game at the college level. And then Notre Dame, they also became the first major college team to win two bowls in one season. They won the Sugar Bowl and the Orange Bowl.
Yep. Teams have won two bowl games in the same calendar year before.
Right.
But Ohio State and Notre Dame was the first to do it. They both won two bowl games this year. Mm-hmm. Really, the best thing of that can come from calling these playoff games bowl games is that at least there are some bowl games that still matter.
Yes, there no doubt. And if you look at the attendance in these semifinal games, they were very well attended. When I know in the past, say for the Cotton Bowl, you could have walked up and gotten a $2 ticket if you wanted to at game time.
Right. Well, I'll say I did notice in the Texas-Arizona game, I guess that was in Atlanta, right? The Peach Bowl?
Yes.
The whole upper deck looked empty to me because, look, I mean, these teams can't send even Texas with their big following, you're not going to send people to, 4 different places.
No. And, I think one thing that we've done over the years, we've built our stadiums bigger and bigger and bigger. And back in the day when a 60,000 crowd was a sellout, now if you put 67 or 60,000 in some of these stadiums, I mean, it's about a third empty.
Right. And you've noticed that I believe Alabama and maybe even Auburn or a couple of places, they've reduced the seating, but it wasn't for that reason. It was to add more high-end boxes.
Just to bring more money in. That's exactly right. Well, listen, Mike, appreciate your time this morning, and we're going to take a more in-depth look throughout the week at the game. Of course, we'll be breaking it down. To me, initially, just my gut thought is that this Notre Dame team, they have dominated teams on the line of scrimmage this year. And if you look at what they've done in the two bowl games, they've played very well. They've had some mistakes, but it's because they've been decimated at injuries. But I think it speaks to how deep they are on the offensive line, especially, that they're able to stay in the games with backups playing 2 and 3 positions. However, that may come back to haunt them against a very strong Ohio State front, which I think is the best defensive front seven in college football this year.
Right. That's what they grade out as. And Notre Dame has been winning the battle in the trenches. This is going to be their toughest test. Coach, my first thought is the most iconic name in college football is getting 10.5 points on the opener. Right. That makes me pause. Then the Irish did get bet because I don't think, you can't give them 10.5. Ohio State's been running through teams like butter, but they beat the brakes off of Tennessee and Oregon, but they beat Texas by 14 points. The final score looks like it's a 2-score deficit, and it, technically was. But Texas had first and goal at the 1.
Yeah.
Inside of 2 minutes, and then you get a scoop and score, and it flips the game.
You've got the scoop and score that kind of made the score look better for Ohio State. And then also you have just an unexcusable error by the Texas defense on at the end of the first half to
the screen pass.
The screen pass, and I'm just telling you right now, I can tell you from being in that experience before, is you got a group of guys that think, hey, we've just scored and everything's going to be good. We're tied up. We're going into the half and we're going to come out. We're going to shut them down. And, we ain't got to play this play. And guess what? He's 88 and out the gate.
Yeah, and look, I mean, they got 2 or 3 backs that can do that. I understand your point about how that was deflating for the Longhorns, and you could certainly see it. It was palpable. Mm-hmm. But they did come back, and then they're 1 score away from putting it into overtime. Yeah. And then I hesitate to even say this, but on first and goal from the 1, why do you toss it deep and lose all those yards.
On first and goal from the 1, why don't you put Arch Manning in, who is a threat to run the ball and throw the ball? Because we know that Quinn Ayers, the only time that he's going to run the ball is out of desperation, out of breaking the pocket. And that is the only, and now he's not afraid to run. I'm going to give the kid that much. He'll put his head down. But from a defensive standpoint, he is not a run threat. And now all of a sudden you've taken that Ohio State defense, who's already, again, I think the best front seven in college football. You've taken one option off the table for them. And so now we don't have to worry about number 3 as a threat. All we've got to do is worry about if someone's in the backfield and keep him corralled up. And so again, I think Sarkisian, I think he and Lane Kiffin are the best 2 play callers in all of college football, have been for a while. But at the same time, even geniuses make mistakes sometimes. And I definitely would have put Arch Manning in that situation.
That's a good point. I'm thinking, even if you put Arch Manning in and go tush push or quarterback power,
right,
2 or 3 plays, I think they get in.
I think so too. Well, Mike, we'll be back with you later on this week. Appreciate your time. You have a great Monday.
Thanks. You too, Coach.